So this can be one of the easiest or most difficult aspects of the classroom environment, and it has to do with how we treat one another. While I'm going over the classroom culture with you, I thought I would show you some artwork that is self-portraits by various famous artists, and who we're looking at right now is Vincent van Gogh. You have to realize that art is filled with a lot of differences and diversity. So that's why I wanted to show you these self-portraits, because I wanted to bring attention to how different each artist is from the next. Artists tend to be a little bit odd and a little bit off the beaten path. So you may be one of those people who feel like you don't normally fit in, but you may fit in perfectly here. I don't want anybody in here feeling threatened or bullied or harassed. There may be moments of uncomfortableness, but I want those moments to be smoothed over, and for students to realize that they have support both from me and from their peers, because art is bizarre. Art is a little bit weird, and you can very easily pick somebody apart for their flaws. Even the most perfect person is going to have some issues. This is what I expect from myself, and it's also what I expect from you. So I would expect you to try and practice empathy, where you're putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and kind of try and examine it from their point of view. Keep an open mind. You're also going to be practicing compassion. So you're going to show compassion to others around you. Try and be helpful, so you can help in any way. Already students are starting to do this, and it's great. Listen to people. So really hear them out. Sometimes it's the quietest people who are the most versed at listening, but you can also do them the courtesy of listening when they do feel comfortable speaking. Be aware of and overcome prejudices. We all have them, but it is your job to kind of move past that. And it goes back to having an open mind as well. Make sure that you are careful in how you criticize. Don't single out or attack one individual if they have a differing viewpoint than you. You do also want to be friendly with each other. And so far, you guys have been great about this. Just make sure that's part of what you're actively doing. Once we get back to the classroom, you'll see that my classroom environment has kind of a chill vibe. It looks almost like a living space. It doesn't look exactly like a classroom. Yeah, it has some desks and stuff, but it's meant to be a comfortable space for all students. The best thing you can do is to really get to know people in the class and to start trusting them. One of the ways you can do this is to begin to turn on your camera. I know a lot of you are either uncomfortable with that, or there's too many people with their cameras off, so then you feel like you would be spotlighted. But from my point of view too, I really like connecting with you guys, and I miss that. I really miss that when I'm looking at your little profile pic and all I'm seeing is 2 initials. It means so much more when I'm looking at a face and I can kind of read or gauge whether or not like what I'm doing is making sense, or if you're interested or bored, or if I'm going too fast or too slow. I'm sure that's true for your peers, that when you're isolated and cut off and we can't see your image, it means that we're kind of distant from you. As your teacher, I will do my best to be fair and consistent. And it's my goal for you and for me as well that we have a classroom where we can have some kind of camaraderie, where we can have dialogue, where we can have agreements and disagreements, and we can work it out in a way where everyone feels like supported and comfortable. It's got One of you mentioned that you wanted to learn how to draw hands, which is kind of why we're on this hand drawing series. But it's good for all of you, even if hands aren't your favorite thing. And it's no wonder if they're not, because they're really difficult. So I'm showing you this. This is like a mechanicalized hand. It's basically the hand that's turned into a series of forms. It's a hand that has volume to it. So it's breaking down your hand or a hand into some pretty generic forms, basic forms. So I'm going to show you quickly, and you're not drawing along with me, you're just going to observe, because you will be doing this too or something like it. But I wanted to point out that we're starting out with the wrist first, or at least I am in this drawing. And the wrist is a cylinder shape. So a cylinder shape is kind of like the same shape or form that you'd see for like a yogurt cup or a can, Campbell's soup can, that kind of thing. Rather than later, but this is your first introduction really to basic forms. So cylinder first, and then we're going to kind of go towards a semi-cube shape. It's like a cube with curves, and that's to get the palm. So I'm actually separating all these, so the wrist is separate from the palm, just so you can appreciate each individual separate shape. There's the wrist, there's the palm, and then there's the thumb and the other fingers. So when you're drawing, it's often best to go with breaking things down into their most basic shape first. A lot of artists are attracted to detail when they first start out with drawing and painting, so they get caught up in the detail, and there's a danger in that because you could get off on your proportions. So the fingers are also like cylinders. They're like mini cylinders. But there's also a little bit of a sphere at the tip of your finger. So the tip of your finger is like a sphere. Another way of saying sphere is ball, like a bouncy ball. Your thumb kind of at the base of your thumb near your wrist could also have like a little bit of like a sphere shaped, kind of poofs out there. So eventually you'll want to pay attention to those kinds of things, where stuff kind of sinks in and where it bows out. So it was helpful for me to have that mechanical hand, because that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at a photograph or anything like that. I'm looking directly at that mechanical hand. For you, I will allow you to look at a photograph of a mechanical hand. I will provide you with one when it's your turn. Many artists use this method of sketching the hand in terms of volume and form first, and then going in and kind of articulating the detail within there. So it's a great way to lay it out. As I said, there's some space, some gaps in between, like the wrist to the hand, and I've separated the fingers and the thumb. That's just so you can see how each form works. That most are cylinders, there's kind of like a cube there, that sort of thing.